Mr. Vice President, I, Paul Gosar from
For
Arizona
what
Sports.
purpose does the gentleman from Arizona rise?
I rise up for myself and 60 of my colleagues to object to the counting of the electoral ballots from Arizona.
Is the objection in writing and signed by a senator?
Yes, it is.
It is.
Well, today's a little bit of a crazy day here in the district, and as we just saw, Congressman Paul Gosar from Arizona objected to the submission of the Arizona votes to the Electoral College, and then he was supported by Senator Ted Cruz. The Georgia Senate race is almost over. It looks like the Dems are probably going to get a win there. There's lawlessness here in D.C. I spent the first part of the morning watching the president on the news, and he made a comment. He's like, "Hey, we're gonna march on the Capitol." And just a few minutes ago, it popped up on my Twitter account that there's actually been some people who have scaled the fences in the district and currently are trying to occupy some of the offices within the Capitol. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about, or the thing that I actually want to talk about first, is martial law. Okay, so see the picture? That used to be me. I spent 30 years in the United States Army. My last basically 4 years, I was on the actual joint staff as a strategic planner. So what is martial law? Well, basically it's when the civilian law enforcement agencies are unable to maintain public order and safety, and then the military is actually put in place in order to do that. So what I've heard people talking about, and General Michael Flynn is one of them, and President Trump has entertained it, is the idea that the United States military would be used in order to go into a state, say that the civilian authority is incapable of governing, and then holding an election. And I'm assuming that the election would only come out with the result of having President Trump reelected. So at a national level, yes, the president can do this, and we've done this in the United States about 63 times. But there are certain constraints within martial law. But this isn't what it would be used for. So in each state, the governor also has the capability of doing the same thing, that they can declare martial law within their own state. So my first question to my Facebook friends and my Twitter friends who are like, "Oh, we have to have martial law," and the military would. So who is the military? I always hated that. We would talk about the Pentagon. Well, the Pentagon is a building. It's not a person. The White House. Well, the White House is not a person. It's a building. So who are we specifically talking about? Are we talking about, General Mark Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, saying that he's going to activate or he's going to take the federal forces and he's going to move them into the state of Wisconsin in order to conduct an election? Or are we talking about the acting Secretary of Defense, Chris Miller, and Defense Miller is going to do something like this? Or are we getting down to the Army? Are we talking about General McConville? He's the Chief of Staff of the Army. Or even the Marine Corps, the Commandant of the Marine Corps. Are we talking about General Berger? It just doesn't make sense. It's ludicrous. It's a great soundbite, but we just need to stop with this type of discussion. So what do I think about General Flynn? Well, I actually served with General Flynn, and I don't know him well. I mean, I was a major, and he's a general, so we weren't drinking buddies. And I had the utmost respect for him in uniform. But what about now? No. Bottom line is that the Secretary of Defense, Chris Miller, acting, he should recall General Flynn onto active duty. And when I talk about recall, I'm a retired lieutenant colonel. Okay, that means that right now I'm basically getting half pay of what I got when I was on active duty because of my retirement. But it's not retirement pay. It's kind of like I would jokingly call it a retainer. But the thing of it is, I am eligible to be pulled back on active duty all the way up to about 85 or something like that. So tomorrow morning, I could get a set of orders saying that I was coming back on active duty, and I would have to cut my hair, shave my face, put on a uniform, salute the flagpole, and show up for work. It's just the way it is. I cannot do things that other people can do, even though I am retired. And General Flynn's in the same position. So he could actually be recalled to active duty, and then he could be charged, he could be court-martialed for things that have to do like insurrection. To me, it's ludicrous to hear a general say that, and to think that this is like a viable option, and then to have counsel with the president, and then the president seem this is a viable option. But I digress. I just wanted to get that off my chest. Let's stop with that type of ludicrous discussion. It's not something that could happen, and if it would happen, it would be just absolutely tragic for our democracy. But after break, we'll come back and we'll get into the Georgia election a little bit, and we'll talk about some of the violence that's going on here in the district.